If we turn our backs and spit in his face, is God still gonna bless the USA?
A concert was held in Philadelphia featuring a movement with a flute solo intended to be played as if coming from a distance. The conductor had instructed the flautist to stand off stage where he was to count the measures precisely so that he could come in at the exact time, as there could be no visual contact between the conductor and the soloist. On the night of the performance, the flautist began his solo at precisely the right moment. Suddenly, there was a sour note struck, and the soloist fell silent. The conductor was outraged. At the end of the piece, he rushed off stage to find the poor flautist. The player was prepared. "Maestro," he said, "before you say anything, let me tell you what happened. I came in and everything was going beautifully when suddenly this enormous stagehand ran up, grabbed away my flute, and pushed me back, saying, 'Shut up, you idiot. Don't you know there's a concert going on out there?'" Sometimes our expectations don't pan out like we anticipate. Greetings, Patriots. I'm Perry Green, and this is God in America. Some people have left Christianity because their expectations of God didn't happen as they wanted. They felt God had let them down. Often we think that once we follow Christ, He is obligated to grant us health, wealth, happiness, success, and an easy road. Then, when we have difficulties, we express our disappointment in God. In 2 Corinthians 11, verses 24 to 28, Paul lists some of the discomforts he faced as a believer. Yet he remained faithful to the end of his life. Notice what he wrote. "From the Jews 5 times I received 40 stripes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. A night and a day I have been in the deep. In journeys often, in perils of waters, in perils of robbers, in perils of my own countrymen, in perils of the Gentiles, in perils of the city, in perils of the wilderness, in perils of the sea, in perils among false brethren, in weariness and toil, in sleeplessness often, in hunger and thirst, in fastings often, in cold and nakedness, besides the other things what comes upon me daily, my deep concern for all the churches." The Syrian captain Naaman was afflicted with leprosy. Through a series of diplomatic interventions, he eventually approached Elisha for healing. The prophet did not meet him in person, but sent word for him to immerse himself 7 times in the Jordan River. Consider Naaman's unmet expectations in 2 Kings 5, verse 11. The text says, "But Naaman became furious and went away and said, 'Indeed, I said to myself, he will surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God and wave his hand over the place and heal the leprosy.' One of his servants persuaded him to follow Elisha's simple instruction, and when he complied, he was healed. Immediately, he became a God-fearer." Our ancestors understood the fight for liberty against tyranny was not a guaranteed outcome. They'd worked for a decade to resolve their differences with Great Britain in a peaceful manner. In the process, they firmly trusted divine providence, but did not expect him to resolve the issue without discomfort. They prepared themselves and risked their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor to secure our independence. Listen to these quotes on expectations. When George Washington began his military career and prepared to accept his first field command, his mother, Mary Washington, said this, "That God may protect you through all the dangers and hardships of war and return you safely will be my constant prayer. With his blessing, you can be a useful man in war as in peace, and without it, you can expect nothing." In his first inaugural address, April the 3rd, 1789, President Washington stated, "The foundation of our national policy will be laid in the pure and immutable principles of private morality. The propitious smiles of heaven can never be expected on a nation that disregards the eternal rules of order and right which heaven itself has ordained." In a July 1st, 1776 letter to Archibald Bullock, a former member of the Continental Congress from Georgia, John Adams wrote this: "The object is great which we have in view, and we must expect a great expense of blood to obtain it. But we should always remember that a free constitution of civil government cannot be purchased at too dear a rate, as there is nothing on this side of the New Jerusalem of equal importance to mankind." Thomas Jefferson wrote, "If a nation expects to be ignorant and free in a state of civilization, it expects what never was and never will be." And finally, Thomas Paine, the author: "Those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must, like men, undergo the fatigue of supporting it." We may fail in our expectations of God. He doesn't make everything easy for us so that we will seek Him and not merely His blessings. He deserves our loyalty for who He is, not for what He can give us, although His blessings are numerous and valuable. He knows what's best for us in the long run. But let's flip the question. What does God expect of us? The prophet told us in Micah 6, verse 8, "He has shown you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? But to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." We may not always get our way, but it always is right to follow God's path by practicing justice and mercy and walking humbly with Him. 70% or more of the men who signed the Declaration of Independence opposed slavery. Yet for the sake of liberty, they set the issue aside until after we won our independence. Men like John Quincy Adams fought unsuccessfully to abolish slavery, but he stated, "Duty is ours, results are God's." He worked for abolition his whole life and did not give up on God due to his, quote, "failure," unquote, to meet His expectations. The abolition of slavery came after his lifetime with the seeds he and others planted. Let's remember that we walk humbly with God. We do not make demands of Him. Instead, let's seek to know Him and His will, choosing to be lifelong followers regardless of the cost. Let's keep the light of proper expectations burning.